All right, hey traders, TG Watkins here. It's August 4th when I'm recording this, Thursday. And yeah, Profit Pilot is the website. You guys can find more information about me if you're interested. Go over under services and then you can check that out. Otherwise, underneath home is where twice a week I put up a newsletter so you guys can kind of get a little feel for what I'm seeing, talking about, putting out there and whatnot. So let's dive into the markets. You guys saw yesterday with the teaser that I was looking at the market pretty much running into this resistance. Same thing with the semis, and I got a list here kind of that we're going to go through. And the market just really didn't do anything today. We have non-farm payroll and unemployment tomorrow, which is Friday. So you guys will probably already know the answer to all that by the time you see this. It obviously can go either direction, but even if it goes up, I kind of think that the up would be shortly lived, mostly because we are just running into all of this resistance and we're just so extended. I look at this on the daily chart and I see here how there's a gap here between price and the daily 8. And, that can last for a while, but at some point it's going to catch up to it and it's going to pull back. And I would imagine it's going to pull back pretty hard. So it's either going to happen with the news tomorrow and that's going to start the move down, or we get a little bit of a move up, like that last thrust up, and then we roll over, because we saw that actually a while ago. Let me see over here. Yeah, so I think this was, if I remember correctly, it had some Russia-Ukraine news at the time, and you could see that there was also a bit of a gap in through here, and then we jumped, and then that created the big gap, and that was the end of the move. So that's why I'm like, if even it goes up, that doesn't necessarily mean we're just going to keep pushing up. I would be careful and concerned about, at this point, really, like, how much more is there on the long side? I think we're really starting to run out of, upside momentum, even if we jump up on Friday. Now, one thing to note back here is that little jump up went right into the third ATR. Now, where we are currently, if we kind of slide over here, we are already at that third ATR. And so that's kind of another thing I've been talking about. We're pretty much already up there and already extended off of that AEMA. So even a jump up outside of the third ATR is going to be excessive. Like, we're going to start getting outside of that boundary. And we've already gone from the lower third ATR to the upper third ATR. I mean, this has been a heck of a move. And so just looking for some opportunity to pull back and reload on the long side. You can also see that we still have a bit of a gap here between price and the hourly 50, and we're just starting to see a little bit of divergence here on the hourly. Nothing to really work with. I'm more looking at all these other things to try and assess that I want to see price pull back. As I said in the teaser yesterday also, that on the weekly chart, the S&P is pretty much up at the weekly 21, so give or take, but the weekly 21 is the arch of the foot, which typically we see a pullback after that. And so that's kind of what I'm looking for and waiting for. Now, where we're going to pull back, I don't know. I'm just guessing maybe around the 21, which would at this point kind of make sense, kind of that previous support area. So maybe that's a thing. But we could go all the way back down to the daily 50 if it really wanted to. So we just have to wait and watch and see where the thing wants to go. Now, NASDAQ also has a pretty major trend line. You can see basically this situation right there. So it too is very extended, and it's up here at its third ATR, and it's really stretching, and you can see that kind of anytime we get up and pull back, up and pull back, up and pull back, and we're up there. So again, I'm just being patient, saying we've got to just got to wait for some sort of pullback. The IWM, more or less the same thing, but price didn't do anything today, so we're just waiting. Another thing to be looking at is, notice here that the MOXY indicator has kind of been drifting down despite a very, very new high. So that is another thing that is going into my calculations of this and saying, I get it, it's up, it can jump up tomorrow based on the non-farm payroll and all that, but I wouldn't go buying that jump. I'd actually probably be shorting that jump. And you can see here we still have some room here between price and the daily 8 EMA, and again, at that third ATR. And then, gosh, do we even have I guess there's a bit of a gap. Well, not really. There's a little bit of something there. We can kind of look left, and basically it kind of is coming into some previous resistance area, previous price congestion. But either way, I would look at that at still the arch of the foot. So that's IWM. And then SOXX, talked about that yesterday, and same story. just kind of run it right into that trend line. I don't really feel like going long or loading up long right at this point. It's just not the most ideal place to load up long. So I'm going to be waiting for price to come back down. I don't know, just guessing somewhere in that region. And you can see here we've got some negative divergence going on. So we've had a lot of good runs. Time for a pullback. All right, then UVXY. And actually, let me go over here for the UVXY. All right, and so the thing with the UVXY, no setup yet, but it feels like something's getting close. This thing has really just rolled off the edge of a cliff, which at some point, you know, is kind of reaching that lower third ATR. At some point, it would want to be bouncing. And on the hourly chart, I brought to your attention this. Notice how price has been trending down this entire time, but notice that the Moxie indicator has gone flat. That is not to be ignored. I'm telling you, that is not to be ignored. This, I think this is really going to set up something in the future, okay? It's going to take a little bit of work for it to come through, but we can't ignore that. It's going to be what I believe to be a very, very big sign. So do keep an eye on that, and we can see that it seems that price at some point is trying again to kind of put in a bottom or a base. Now, if this works out, or when it works out, you know, we're going to have to wait and see for price to get over the 15-minute 50. It hasn't done that yet. And then if we do get a move, I imagine it's going to go somewhere to the daily 21. So that would be the first move. And then we get out, and then we try again later. All right, then if we look at UNG, and I just wanted to show UNG as an example of some stuff that has been very, very overbought, and then kind of how the process of it pulling back goes. So this would kind of be Apple or Costco, Tesla, although they got a lot of news coming out. So Apple, Costco, and then just basically anything that's been up a lot like this. And even the market, you know, we're talking about how price is up and then outside of the daily third ATR, kind of like the market. And then big gap here between price and the daily 8 EMA. And then I've been talking about how, you know, that there's been a big gap between price and the hourly 50. So that, you know, like we're just talking about that last couple days, starting to really pull away from the hourly 50. So at some point, it's going to roll over and pull back. And you can see that generally begins when price actually starts to get underneath the 15-minute 50 and starts to go down like that. Now, if we move over, one thing to also note is on the 15-minute time frame, you can see in through here, price has been going up, Moxie indicator flat. So again, a version of negative divergence. It's not supporting the move up. It's really just going sideways. So at some point, it's going to roll over, and typically what you see is that begin on the 15-minute time frame. And yeah, that's what I'm looking for on the market. That's what I'm looking for on any ticker that is in this situation. And as I said, I was looking for a move down to, say, the 21 or the 50, and the markets, the S&P, are about in the same situation. So once it pulls back, then I would look to buy, and we'll see if we can get a move up like that. All right, so UNG. Okay, so then we'll just kind of go around a few names. Let's go talk about Apple, since we were looking at that. And you can see here, that is the same situation that I was talking about with the UNG. You can see here it's really kind of starting to push outside of that third ATR, and it's been pulling away. And at some point, because you can see here, price has been going up, the Moxie indicator has been going down. At some point, this will break, and we will see price come back down to probably the 21, wherever that is at the time. And then I'd imagine we get a bounce. So, you know, don't go shorting this thing and thinking, oh, this thing's going to implode and everything. No, it's a process, you know, down, up, down kind of thing. And so if you can find it, you can trade it short, sure. But then just understand it's probably going to bounce, okay? This thing's not done going up. But for right now, I'm looking for it to take a breather, pull back, and then you can re-engage to the upside. Let's see if there's anything that I want to talk about on here with the weekly. Just also that is up here very high. You know, there might be a bit of a trend line here. You know, nothing I'm going to really put too much weight in, but do be aware of that. And we might, big picture, we might be doing a head and shoulders. So we'll look into that a little bit later. It's nothing quite yet that I really want to be hanging my hat on yet. All right, then Costco, since I referenced that one as well. There we go. Let's zoom out a little bit. There you go. So you can see with Costco, and it's done an amazing job moving up. And actually, here's the point that I was proving with Apple. You see how Costco was overbought, and then it pulled back to the daily 21, then moved up. That's what I mean. So I'm looking for just a pullback on the market. I'm looking for a pullback on Apple. And then actually, I would be looking to buy that pullback just like that right there on Costco. That being said, I would continue to be careful about Costco. I think everything should be everything should be setting up for a pullback right now. That's the name of the game. That's what I'm looking for. And you can see here, price has been going up, but look at the Moxie indicator. It keeps trending down. So it's still been going. The 50 has still been in a pretty good uptrend, but we are starting to get closer and closer to running out of gas on this name, Costco. So I think that's mostly it. And I do think it's going to roll over also, but it's going to take some time for that to happen. So I'm not in any big hurry. Again, maybe a head and shoulders. Now, this one's a little bit stronger to the downside because of that right shoulder is lower than the left shoulder, but we'll just see what happens in the future as that goes. Okay, so we got Costco, and then Amazon. And Amazon's had a heck of a move. Really, this has been pretty impressive. I don't know what the earnings were, but whatever they were, people apparently liked them. And again, just kind of how long can this thing stay up here? It is running very, very close to the daily 200. It's coming up here very close to the monthly 50, and it is right here into this block of previous price congestion. So, yeah, seems to me like, I'm not sure I'd want to be putting a lot of fresh money to work on the long side up around here. The move has already been made, and so I would be cashing in and definitely be looking for and aware of a pullback. And you can see here, it has just been just so bullish. It's been riding that outside of that third ATR on the daily chart, but come on, at some point this thing's gonna have to pull back and start over again if it's gonna go up. The other thing is, I would still consider this to be the arch of the foot on the weekly time frame. You can see that the weekly 8 is still below the weekly 21, so therefore this makes that the arch of the foot. And you can see here still big gap between price and the hourly 50, and just expecting a pullback. That's when I keep looking around, just expecting a pullback. All right, then ENVX. Here's some setups that I wanted to show you because there are quite a few bottoming patterns out there, and maybe you guys not necessarily sure what to look for, and through the Moxie system on how I see things. The reason why I wanted to show this one, ENVX, there's no trade here. There's nothing to do right now. It does look good later down the road, again, after a pullback, but there's some really good educational material here that really references a lot of the other stuff that I'm looking at in the market and just kind of waiting for. And I got a list here that we'll go through, and I'll show you this thing, but in a variety of conditions. So do you guys see here how that is the arch of the foot on the weekly time frame? Price right up there into the weekly 21 EMA, and then also right here into the previous price congestion area. This is exactly why I'm looking at the S&P, and I'm looking at the markets and Apple and whatever, any other thing that is in this position. This is why I'm looking at them and saying that they should pull back. They should pull back. Now the question is, where are they going to pull back? I would first be looking at the 21 or the daily 50, kind of see that. All right. Well, I don't want to just buy if price comes down there, right? Because if you look there, the Moxie indicator was still below zero. There was no setup. There was zero setup on that thing. And so it was telling me, the Moxie indicator and my rules were telling me that price was actually probably going to fall below the daily 50. And lo and behold, it did. So that's how you protect yourself from that. And then what you can look at is, there's your double bottom. So what do you got? Leg, heel, arch of the foot, ball of the foot, elf toe, double bottom. And you can see the whole time, there's your positive divergence on the daily chart. There's your double bottom. There's more positive divergence. And for those of you who know my patterns and stuff, what's this? Price below the 50, the Moxie indicator above zero. Trampoline move. And you can even see here on the hourly chart, double bottom, positive divergence. There's your Moxie price trigger. There's your pullback. That is another trampoline move because price below the 50, but the Moxie indicator above zero. Trampoline move. Looking great. And that pullback right there, that was a trampoline move on the hourly. That pullback was basically into the daily 50 and uptrending daily 50, mind you. And it had the 8 over the 21, and it pulled back into the 21. That is pretty picture perfect. That's awesome. So that is how this ENVX all panned out, and that's how we got all of these variety of moves. Now, that being said, again, I'm still looking for a pullback. I don't really want to be buying here, here, or here. I would really prefer to see if this thing can pull back, I don't know, something like that. And if it holds, then we can continue to move up. So yeah, ENVX is on my list of stocks on my buy list, because, buy watch list, because this thing has look at that double bottom on the weekly chart. Like, this thing looks like it's ready to go. It is so far ahead of the market. It's crazy. So it's already done its thing. It's already put in a huge double bottom. It's already moving up. It's already ready to go. So this thing should be ahead of the pack on the next pullback. All right, snow. This is another one that a lot of people are looking into and talking about. Well, what do we got? Leg, heel, arch of the foot, ball of the foot. So I'd be looking for elf toe. But I don't want to be getting it when price is right here at the top of that range, right? I'd rather get it on a pullback. And I think that there's probably a pullback here on the hourly chart, something like that. But also, notice that price has gone sideways, but the Moxie indicator has gone up this entire time. Good news. How about this? Price below the 50, but the Moxie indicator above 0. Trampoline move. Okay, so this tells me that this thing is kind of hovering in through here, and if it can continue to hold it, there should be a move to the upside. So I'm just kind of waiting, watching, looking at these things and saying, I see some setups coming, and I'd like to wait for the right opportunity for them. How about CGNX? So this one, again, showing you kind of all the same patterns, just a variety of different conditions. Now this had earnings, and that is why it dropped. Okay, fine. I like to wait till after earnings. But do you guys see the pattern? Leg, heel, arch of the foot. Might be the ball of the foot. And then we can get an elf toe. And you can see, just like snow, price went up and pulled back. And notice how the Moxie indicator has been going green the entire time. And it pulled back into a daily 50. Now, do we know, like ENVX, do we know if the daily 50 is going to hold? No, we don't. We have to use the next lower time frame to help figure that out. So it's a little early, but we'll know. We'll see it coming. We'll know if this is actually going to end up being viable. But if it is, pulling back to that seems pretty good. It could also be an inverse head and shoulders. And so yeah, still looking bullish on these things. CFLT. Here's another one. Good solid moves. Might have been earnings, but I would like to wait. Here's the leg, here's the heel, here's the arch of the foot, ball of the foot, it's trying to work on that elf toe. And you can see here, it got over the daily 50, and then it flagged sideways into an uptrending daily 50. That's good. You don't really want to be going up across a downtrending moving average. You want price and the moving average to go in the same direction. And then also, just like CFLT, you see here how price was going sideways, but notice that the Moxie indicator has been going green every single day. So that looks pretty good. And pretty much in through here, if you had noticed it, you could get it because, there's the Moxie price trigger and price staying over the hourly 50 and all that kind of stuff did well. But at this point, yeah, just looking for a pullback. I don't really like to go buy up there when it's, done that. I really rather buy down here into moving averages and into, say, hourly moving averages too. All right, then ARK, another one that we've been trading. This is just, say what you will about this. It's just another trading vehicle. I look at it as another indication of how all the other stocks out there are doing. And I look at this, say, leg, heel, and it's kind of just been basing. This is probably going to be the arch of the foot. So you can see here, it also managed to get past the daily 50. Then it used the daily 50 for support. The Moxie indicator has been going green the whole time. It's been holding moving average support on the hourly chart. But at this point, again, with the whole market, I am really just kind of looking for a pullback. So if we can get just a little bit of a pullback, I can reload, and then we can see if it wants to go higher up, and do whatever it wants to do. So that was ARK. And then ZM. Here's another one. I showed you, what was it, ENVX as far as that elf shoe. Do you guys see the elf shoe again on the weekly chart? Here's the leg, here's the heel, here's the arch of the foot, there's the ball of the foot. Looking for that elf toe. So that one looks pretty good. And here You can see that was a trampoline move right there, price below the 50, but the Moxie indicator above 0. And mostly right there, you can see some positive divergence, and it's been doing pretty well. And in fact, if you zoom in here on the daily, do you see the other elf shoe? Leg, heel, arch of the foot, ball of the foot, elf toe. So yeah, looking pretty good on that. So anyway, you guys have a good time. Enjoy, well, one more day. We'll see what the non-farm payroll and the unemployment do, and probably not much to do tomorrow, but I'd say early next week I'm looking for that pullback, and then hopefully that pullback moves down into support, and then we can go on a long buying shopping spree again. Fingers crossed. All right, guys. Talk to you later.
Hey guys, Dave Keller here with StockCharts.com. Thanks so much for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, and we hope you did, hit the like button right below. Also, we have so much new content every day. Consider subscribing to the channel. Just hit the subscribe button in the video or right below. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Have a fantastic day.